Welcome to another episode of What You Doing. I am your host, Burrell, alongside my co-host, Paul Guarino.
What's up, everybody?
We are joined by the one, the only, Gordon Hill. Gordon, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you guys, man. I appreciate it. I was telling Paul earlier, I watched every single one of the episodes from season one.
That's crazy, yeah.
So
that's love.
Yeah. So I love this. When this popped up, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what's going on. I like this a lot. So
I appreciate that. I believe we took one of your feedback. You had said something about the dorms and hearing.
Oh yeah,
hearing about the dorms. I think you would hit PG up about it, and he would said, "Yo, I love the section about hearing about people's favorite spots to live."
Yes. That's what I did. I did hit you up a while ago.
Yes.
And we incorporated that into episodes post that. So I feel like it's only right that we ask you to start your episode. What was your favorite dorm living at Sacred Heart?
Merton.
Ooh,
Merton,
freshman year.
year. Merton, third floor. I think room 330 to be exact. And I'm just going to say this. A lot of people don't know this, but on Merton, third floor, freshman year, we had 1, 2, 3, let's see, 4, 5. I think we had 7 freshmen starting in all of their sports.
Really?
Yes.
That's one
on one floor.
That's an amazing floor to be on. That's crazy.
Right.
The aura.
Yeah, right.
The aura was elite. I mean, no, 100%. You know, we had starting pitchers. 1, 2. We had their starting third baseman, pitcher. Man, it was 7 of us, and then on the women's side, softball had 2. Like, we had a group.
That's crazy.
So it was always good to see everybody in the pit center as well.
Yeah.
You know, and that floor was close, man. We got in like good trouble. You know, it was never something really bad.
Right.
But we got really close that floor for sure. So yeah, Merton third floor, man.
That's crazy. It's funny. That makes me now think of my favorite place, which was J Hill, and why I loved it. We lived there with the basketball players. We had two starting guards. We had a ton of football players. Live with Robert Dim. Shout out RD2.com. Check the domain.
Yes.
So we lived with him. We had football players. We had lacrosse players, hockey players. As you said, it's fun because you get to start supporting each other.
Exactly.
And what they do, and you get to kind of learn a little bit. I went to a lacrosse game. The first lacrosse game I ever went to here at Sacred Heart. I was like, oh, and it was packed. I was like, oh, this is what I've been sleeping on? Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. But we're here to talk about your journey. So let's back it up. We talked about your favorite dorm, but let's go back before that. How did you end up at Sacred Heart, and why was Sacred Heart the school for you?
Man. Okay, so I'm just going to start with saying, you know, football was definitely the catalyst from a school standpoint where I was looking. I thought I had the ability to get a scholarship to play, and I didn't get a lot of attention. I didn't get any Division I A, looks or offers, and it was Albany was the first scholarship I actually received. Coach McCarthy, I think he might be there still, the head coach at Central. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, he was the OC at the time, if I'm not mistaken, at Albany. Then he went over to Central. But with that being said, Albany was the first ones, and the next day, full transparency, I'm gonna give y'all real here. So,
please.
The next day, I called Coach Bolus, at the time our O-line and offensive coordinator, and I was like, hey, just got a offer from Albany, but Ahmad, shout out to my cousin Ahmad Covington.
Wait, I didn't know y'all were cousins.
That's my family.
That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, like like 5 years old, going over playing Nintendo 64, sleeping over. Like
crazy.
That's my cousin.
Got you.
Yeah, so
another great SHU football player.
100%. And if it wasn't for Ahmad, I most likely would have not come here. So so before I even got any attention from Sacred Heart, I reached out to Ahmad. I'm like, hey, cuz I have great grades. SATs are phenomenal. Like, let me not gas him up. You get what I'm getting. Like there was nothing wrong.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. There was nothing wrong. And long story short, I had a great season. And going into senior year, I had no offers after my senior year. Like, we won a state championship.
That's crazy being in New Jersey too, because you guys got a lot of talent.
I don't know what it was. State championship back to back. This I will, keep it. State championship game at Rutgers had like 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, Play phenomenal. Like, just play phenomenal. Nobody was giving me any attention.
Where was YouTube at this point? Like, did you have like a highlight tape?
I was a year. I missed Huddle.
Yeah. Okay.
Huddle just came my senior year, so it was brand new.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I didn't help. So I was junior year hand to hand with coaches.
Okay.
That being said,
See, that's so crazy because it wasn't that long ago.
No.
But it was like you were like right there on the cusp of like where it's like now the digital age. You want more digital age, I guess you could.
for sure. So Albany. So Coach Bowles did come because Ahmad reached out. Hey, my cousin's a good player. Like, let's see what's going on. He might have came the week of the state championship game. So this was like only 3 weeks prior. He even knew about me my senior year.
That's crazy.
You know, these kids are committing junior year, getting offers freshman, sophomore.
Right.
So I reached out to him. I said, hey, coach, you know, just got the offer from Albany, but I'm really interested in Sacred Heart. And yes, part of that was a little bit of like marketing, like let me see what I can do here.
Right.
And some of it was, I'm also interested in Sacred Heart. Like, my cousin's there, you know, and he was having a successful career there. So I was very much interested. And basically a couple days later, I you know, get the call like, we're going to offer you something, and we kind of went from there. Then set up the visits and everything like that. They knew, both teams knew. I went up the same weekend. Both teams knew, hey, I'm coming up Friday, Saturday for Albany. And I drove Saturday right after the offer, like in the morning, met with Coach. I drove straight down from Albany to Sacred Heart and did the Sacred Heart weekends, Saturday, Sunday. And I knew right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was it about Sacred Heart that made you know right away? Besides, obviously, I know Ahmad being here, but what else?
For sure. I mean, it was it, you know, when you hear like, you'll just know it. Yeah. It had like the it factor. Okay. And it was more a comfort thing. That's all it was. Yeah. It was so much to the point where, and you know, they asked me, hey, you want to go out? Like, you want to go to, you know, a party where the recruits are and stuff? And I was like, nah, I'm tired. I just went to, what was the spot over in Ron Coyote Jack's.
Yeah, throwback.
Yes. There we go. Shout out to, hey, you know, shout out to Coyote Jack's.
That was only here the year before, or that was the last year, I think, because the year you came as a freshman, it was gone, no?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay,
Yeah, because they turned into like the ice cream spot.
Right.
Or like the gym for a little bit.
Yes. Then the ice cream spot. Yes.
The irony in that.
Yes. For sure. Right. But, you know, we went there and like that was very much the let out. I remember it being late. Yes. And I mean, I remember doing the tour and everything like that.
Who was your host?
Ahmad was.
Oh,
it just made sense. And Rube was there.
Yeah, Rube.
Yeah. McIntosh brothers. Yeah, they were both there. Yeah. So I was so tired from honestly Albany the night before, and I was like, Ahmad, I just want to go to sleep. I slept on the couch. For like 3 hours. That's what I did. Like after the visit with the coaches, and I knew, I was like, I'm good. I know I want to come here, and nothing really else came. And I met with Coach Wiss, our DC, you know, when I was here, and he came to school a couple times and just kept it real with me. He's like, hey, I think you can start here if you work hard. Like, I see it in you. You still have to show up, and
Were you trying to get recruited as a running back or a cornerback?
I was trying to get recruited as a football player because I had 0 offers. and I have friends that can vouch for me. I remember, you know, I think it's so cool to like score touchdowns. So I think, you know, this for the casual football fan or even somebody lesser of, you know, than a football fan, like you see the glory that comes with a touchdown. So offense looks cool, but from a next level, you know, standpoint, the best athletes really do play defense. So I was like, look, I am just an athlete. I just need to get into school, and I am not trying to pay for it.
Right.
That's just real life.
Yeah.
And when I come from where I come from, and I have to shout out the 856, 609 area, South Jersey, we have so many elite athletes. Just my year alone, there's so many. I'm not even gonna write on it. It's insane. But I mean, you know, like from my area code alone, we have 2 Heisman Trophy winners.
That's crazy.
Like we have Mike Rozier and Ron Dane. Like me and Ron Dane had the same 5th grade teacher. Shout out to Mr. Kaiser. You know what I'm saying? Like that's our. I don't know if another area code can say that.
The 2 Heisman Trophy winners. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
I don't know.
Yeah,
and it's in Jersey.
And also per capita. You gotta add that in there for sure.
Yeah, but with that being said, I remember going into senior year, like I'm going hard on every side, on every snap, because I was focusing more on running back because I just wasn't in shape enough yet to like dominate on defense as well. And then senior year, I'm like, no, I don't have offer. I have to figure this out. So I was like, I'm trying to make every play possible. Yeah.
That's crazy. Real quick funny story for you about your cousin is when I first came up here, being from Florida, first thing, you look for comfort. You look for what feels familiar. So Rube and Titus, they were the first two I seen. We had a running back, Marcel Archer. He might have been gone right before you. So Marcel was from Florida. I used to see him around in Flick, and I would stop. What up? I'm like, are you from Florida?
Yeah.
And I seen Ahmad, and I was like, everything about him reminded me of somebody from Florida.
That aura, yeah.
So I was like, are you from Florida? He was like, nah, Jersey. I was like,
yeah.
That threw me off for a second, but he was always just cool people. So, every time I see him around, he just say what up, whatever it was. But even though I didn't know them like that, but it was always just you love. Athlete, exactly. You just love when you see each other. What up? I see you. What's going on? But
yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know he was your cousin. So
I forgot about that. I know you told me that like a while ago. Yeah. It's actually funny because I think it might have been 2 summers ago. Rube was up here and he hit me up. He's like, "Yo, I'm about to go to Mod's game at West Haven. Like that's where I'm from." I was like, "Word?" I was like, "All right, yeah, I'll come." And then I saw it and making us feel old, but like his kid was playing like flag football. And now we're watching him.
Right.
So that's crazy.
Exactly.
So anyway, let's get back to your career as well, because this is what this show is, and we want to talk about it. So as you go through, obviously being a student athlete is very tough. One thing you learn is time management. So did you have any internships in undergrad, or what did you decide? Football is my thing. Maybe I'll figure out my long-term plan later on, or were you already thinking about that as you were here?
Well, I mean, you asked internships. Yes, I did have an internship. It was with a sports agent, actually, yeah. And I had to get it like signed off by the NCAA because of like conflict of interest.
Yeah. Nowadays, you'd probably be fine.
Probably fine now. Yeah, because I, it was kind of like in the sports marketing space, and it was so cool. I had to do a lot of research on potential clients entering the draft for this agent, and a lot of names that we know now were names I was looking up, and I was like, oh man, but it also helped the fact that I was in college.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I know this quarterback. Like, oh, I didn't know he was from here. But now, fast forward, I'm like my first preseason game, like I played against one of the guys that was on the list. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I thought that was really, really cool. But yeah, so that was what I did. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to like continue in that space, but marketing was what I majored in, and I loved it. But I didn't know where I was necessarily going with that. I knew I just had a natural interest. Okay. Let's just say that. I got kind of in that space. Yeah,
I got you. It's funny because obviously, as I'm saying, like as a student athlete, is different and it's difficult, and your college career is very different. One thing that I always found funny was when I would talk to your teammates, and I would be like, one of my favorite things. I grew up in Florida, love football.
Right.
One of my favorite things to ask any football player: who hits the hardest on the team? And one of the first names that was consistently coming out of everyone's mouth was G Hill, and I was like, "That's crazy," because I only knew you in passing. So I'm like, he's like the most calm, nicest person I maybe have met on a football team. And you mean to tell me when he put on them pads, watch out.
Yeah. And I got it. Shout out to Shad, man. I have to give him credit for this one. He's the one that coined this name, but he would call me Clark Kent.
Okay.
And he's like you're like Superman. Like when you take the glasses off, you kind of turn into this football player. He's like, but then you put your glasses back on and you're so nice and just like polite.
Yeah. That's how it took me by surprise. I'm like, he's the most polite dude I have maybe met in this entire campus. You mean to tell me he go out there and take your head off every time? Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, that's awesome to hear that. Yeah, I took pride in that.
Yeah,
I took pride in that, so that's good to hear. Yeah.
It's one of the things that was real cool about the moment when you were coming out of school is you got an opportunity at the next level, and for Sacred Heart football players, that opportunity doesn't always come around. Mm-hmm. But it was really cool to see everybody kind of tapped in. I've never watched so much preseason football in my life.
Yeah,
but it was like, all right, what are we gonna see? Talk us through that experience. What was that like for you?
Okay, yeah. So, you know, one, a lot of people don't even know this. I graduated early.
Mm-hmm.
I never walked.
Okay.
I graduated early in December.
Okay.
So, I didn't really tell people. Like, people didn't know I was going to Atlanta to train. I had finished school. I took summer and winter classes and things like that in kind of preparation because, I guess, backtrack just a year real quick, scouts started coming junior year. So when I understood that I had a kind of a draft eligible grade on me, late, 6th at the earliest and 7th maybe, and then probably priority free agent. I was like, oh, okay, I need to handle my business, make sure school's handled first. So I did, and I left December, but again, I didn't tell anyone. I just didn't show up. Other than the team knew. So I went to Atlanta. Signed with an agent, started training, and after that, draft day, pro day, draft day, all the things, and first round didn't, obviously nothing. Second day wasn't really worried. I got a couple calls, just like, hey, things kind of got shuffled around. You're on the board for day 3.
Okay.
And I kept it low key. I'm a kid from Sacred Heart University, and I hate to say it like that, but I want people to know how it is too. I remember junior year, guys coming in from, I think it was Washington and one other team, I forget, but basically it was like a junior day. They make you do some preliminary questions, they'll ask, and make you run somewhat of a 40 and things like that, and you have to take that written exam, which I think they've done away with now. But anyway, that said, they said to us, you guys going into your senior year, we won already junior year, the conference, and went 11-2, biggest switch in NCAA history or whatever the case was. They said you have to essentially repeat, because we can just go get, I remember the gentleman looking at me saying, I can go get the 2nd or 3rd string safety from LSU or Alabama before I come see you. And I took that so personal, and it was like, you have to make this look so easy. And I had known that. I knew the reality of it, but when I heard that from the scout, I was like, okay. It just re-solidified what I'd already known. But I was just like, okay, not that life's not necessarily fair. So I was like, fair enough. At least you kept it real.
Right.
So yeah, but anyway, now senior year we do our thing, and everybody gets all the accolades. We make it back to the playoffs, and draft day 3. I watched every single pick.
Wow. And
another thing, I guess people don't really know. Maybe Paul, you maybe remember, but I was going on pre-draft visits, and I knew that's when I knew I started to separate from others, when I got pre-draft visits, which are every team gets allocated 30. And they bring 30 different student athletes come, or now potential pros in, and it's 24 hours you're with the team. So they fly you in at night. You have dinner with the team that night, and then from there, next morning, 5:30 wake up. I mean, everything. They vitals, blood, everything. All your health exams before you even walk in the building. So you do that, and then you're just in meetings all day. So I did Tampa. First one was Kansas City. So the day after my pro day, flew with Kansas City. Actually, I don't know if you'll know. I don't know if you follow football, as at least back office that much, or front office. But the GM for the Bears now,
I should watch Hard Knocks.
Yeah, the GM for the Bears. He was Matt Ryan, who went to Boston College.
Matt Ryan went to Boston.
Matt Ryan Center. Yeah. That's who the GM for the Bears is. He was just a scout at the time for the Chiefs, and he was at my pro day. Then the next day we flew from Newark Airport straight to Kansas City. Together. Oh, okay. Yeah, and it's cool to see him where he is now. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So Chiefs was my first visit. A week later, I had a visit with San Diego Chargers. When I was still there, and then the week, not even a week, that was the same week, maybe 3 days later, I had one with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So my point is, that's when I knew I separated. And I guess what I want to say is, football people who knew who could really play regardless of division, that's when I was like, oh, okay, so my friends who were at these bigger schools, they got acknowledgement early on, but but the league is understanding that, oh no, this kid, he for some reason it didn't happen for him early, but he has as much, if not more, ability than them and should be there. So that made me feel better, like, man, okay, I didn't make the wrong decision, and I'm so happy. I'm just gonna say I'm so happy I came here, being able to play the most snaps ever in Sacred Heart history recorded.
That's crazy.
I mean, people can go ahead and fact check, but when I left, that was kind of the thing, because I did so much special teams as well. But
that's crazy.
So yeah.
So I want to go back though. But like, when did you know that, like, because you just went from, I didn't get any offers, and then AB went to the league. But
no,
I'm just saying. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. So like, when did you know? Like during your Sacred Heart career, like when did you know you like? Was there a point that you knew that you could be an NFL player, or like you had a shot? So like a real, like a legitimate shot.
Yeah. So there's two important parts to this. Again, remember, I have to tell you where I came from. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I grew up around so many NFL players,
right?
Like just friends, not like names you'll necessarily know. They're not all huge names, but there's like 20, that are 2 years younger than me, 2-3 years older than me, and then there's the young kids now, that just got just drafted too. Yeah. So it's just because of that, like you always hear about the 1%, like it wasn't 1% for us. Yeah. So when did I know? Well, when you're going against, your friend is the fourth athlete in America coming out of high school, and then your starting linebacker. Yeah, my other team is the fourth linebacker in the nation, and then the person I bring to school every day is the number 5 DN in the nation. Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. 100%.
It's so normal. It's just your norm. It's not anybody else's, but that's yours. Yeah. Like when you go hang out with your friends, like you're with them.
Yeah.
So. That's when I knew. When I knew, like, I'm doing, when we're training and when we're doing one-on-ones and stuff, like, I'm right there with everybody else. Yeah. And it was more them reaching out to me, like, yo, what's going on?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I knew, and then I have to mention my brother-in-law, Jai Peterson. My brother-in-law, he had a small stint in the NFL as well. He kind of came when Parcells took over the Cowboys. He was a running back from a small school.
Where's he from originally?
He's from North Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from North Jersey. But he was a big name.
I remember
he had some some stuff with school and stuff like that. But I mean, like, blue chip All-American safety, and he really wanted to play run. Anyway, my point is, he trained us all, so I already knew I was putting in the work that everybody else who had already made it was doing. So I have to give him a lot of love, and then probably freshman year I didn't know I did, but when did I know? The summer after my sophomore year, I knew. The summer after my sophomore year, that was the moment where I trained so much. I went through a summer with my brother-in-law, and then I came up here and finished everything out. And I was like, I was like, I just got, I have it. And also it's good that, again, have those groups of people around you to speak reality into you and like really nurture you to be like, no, you have it. You got this. You know what I'm saying?
And just because before like your class and the class before you, like, they had tryouts too, but I'm saying before that, I think one player from Sacred Heart made it to like the NFL.
It was two. Yeah. Devin
so it wasn't like, that's what I'm saying, like, I guess for like our perspective here at Sacred Heart, it was like further from like what we were thinking than you, because you grew up with it, like, you know what I mean?
No, 100%. And yeah, so I would say, that summer.
But that makes sense then. All that, so so now the full story is like.
That's what I'm saying. I've never really told anybody, like, this is how it is. And like I said, there's so many people that.
No, it makes sense too, because I remember, obviously we hung out all the time, so I remember you telling me like I'm like, oh crap, like this is crazy, because that's not normal to me.
Right.
Like, being from Connecticut, obviously, there's not that many pro athletes in Connecticut. Like, I can name them all basically.
For sure. And after that summer, I was so in shape where I knew, I was like, oh yeah,
it's gonna be different.
It's just going to be different. Like, it's just going to be easy. And I didn't have that conversation with that scout until at the end of that season. But I remember him kind of saying, like, it has to look easy. And I'm sure there are teammates of mine that you could ask. I remember I don't want to jump too far ahead per se, but like junior year we played Robert Morris in the conference championship game. Was it? Yes, it was the conference championship game out there, and that's when there was like a moment where I was like, oh yeah, like everything is possible. Right. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you say. Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one where Dim gassed out.
Yes, yes. Great play by. Yeah, he caught like something across the middle and just took it for like 7. Yeah. But I remember that game, and I just kind of like tapped in, and I think that was the moment like I figured myself out too. It was like, yo, G, you can really do this. Not only were you, I think mentally that game it hit me like, no, whatever you want to do, you can do in this. So that was the moment.
That's cool.
Man. That was the moment for sure. So.
That's dope. I want to pivot
for sure.
Yeah, I want to pivot because we've gotten through all this. You listen. The accolades speak for themselves. If you are listening to this and you haven't and you don't know, go look it up because I promise you will be entertained. So I want to say from there because an interesting point that I always find, especially when speaking with ex-athletes, is the transition moment.
Yeah. What
was that like for you? How have you used the skills that you learned in football into your professional life now in the second act?
Okay, so I think it's important to state that, got injured. Got injured, non-contact injury, playing the Cardinals, middle of the field player, quarterback gets hit, I'm coming back for the ball. I'm excited. I'm like, I'm going to get my first pick in the NFL. I'm really, really excited. And I plant and left knee just goes, just kind of, that was it. Ended up taking an injury settlement, was there for like 8 more weeks, recovered. I had some more workouts lined up for actually the Chiefs and some other teams, and before I could do that, my knee blew up again. So got second, third opinions, all the things, and I ended up getting surgery. I'm sidelined for 9 months, and like people, you hear people say NFL is not for long, stands for not for long. Yeah. So it forced me to go to the next thing, and for a while, and I know pretty well, the next thing for me was I had to write in the book. I wrote that, and that was just therapy. That was not for to sell. That was a therapeutic. I am sitting down for at least 2 months, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then I kind of, as I was more mobile, got into photography. And then after that, that's why, we were talking a little earlier. I said I didn't literally live anywhere because I was traveling with photography for about 2 years, right? But that led me to then coaching. I don't know if you guys remember, I was back here at Sacred Heart. I remember I got the call, and I remember I was in Aspen, Colorado. So it was so early. It was like 5 a.m., but it was early over here. And I get the call, and I'm like, hey, G, what's going on? Like, would you like to come back and coach safeties? And I didn't know what I wanted yet. And I'm just going to put this out there. It's a lot of guys after the league that don't know what they want to do, especially who haven't solidified like a pension, like financial, security and been there long enough. So there's a lot of unknown because you trained for so long in your life to be here.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure really, but I'm happy I tried to do some things. Led me back to ball and here. And after year 2, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do forever.
Gotcha. Okay.
I knew there was more to me. Like the game was great to me, but I knew I wanted to do more. So going into year 2, I actually told Coach Nof and everybody, I said, look, I'm gonna give you 1 more year. But I want to, out of respect to you, I want to give you the heads up. So from there, shout out to Sean Kessler. Shout out to Sean Kessler. My last day was January 19th of 2020.
Okay.
That was my last day. I remember helping them like do recruiting and everything. And then that being said, I had a trip planned to land on my birthday in Amsterdam. Cass and I were gonna go out there, and COVID hit. I think it's February. It's literally every country touching the Netherlands was already locked down, so we didn't go, and I was stuck in Jersey for like 5-6 months. Fast forward to the end of that year, I get into tech. I get into tech through a relationship here. Just networking.
So that's always the key. That's what I've been telling everyone. Like they always ask, "What's their advice?" Stay connected with people.
For sure, yeah. And it was what's even deeper is it was a spouse of somebody that I met here. It wasn't even them.
That's crazy.
You know, I just knew his wife. You know, just from one of our strength and conditioning coaches, and did that for a little bit, and I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do forever either. And then I think this is such an important part. I knew I wanted to get into financial planning and become a financial advisor. And I guess my dad, to start here, my dad's been doing it for 38 years.
Okay.
So that's what I've seen my entire life.
Gotcha.
And I remember, you know, loving the phone calls of him just like sharing after, like, man, I was able to help this client, you know, some stuff's going on, you know, and yeah, everything, like, whatever, you know, just being able to help people and then be happy, and him share a little bit of the joy that they share with him. And I thought that was beautiful. And I mean, I was a little, like, 4-year-old, you know, just hearing that and not really knowing. But then as I got older, I'm like, man, this is awesome. So I'll be honest, the past 2 years has been really hard for me.
Why is that?
Studying. You know, I didn't go to a class. It's just, you lock in. You have to be disciplined. And everything I learned here, you know, just with your time management and everything like that, like, that's really what helped. But I just had to lock in, man. And there was 4 exams. I broke them kind of down in every, like, 4 to 6 month increments while I was working still in tech. And it was like a SIE. It was the first exam, Series 6, Series 63, and then I took my 65 was my last one. But yeah, man, so I've been doing it for my 1 year just hit like a couple weeks ago. So
Congrats.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it. I'm working Lincoln Investment.
Okay.
Philadelphia based company. And yeah, man, it's a family, it's a smaller company. So a lot of these people see me when I was a little kid, like running in the hall with my dad, you know. So now when I now go to the office, they're like, Gordon, you know. So it's really cool, and yeah, no, I really do love it, and I'm really loving what I'm doing now, man. Like, I'm happy to say I'm in my career.
That's dope. Yeah,
for sure.
No, I don't know if you remember it, but you told me that that's what you wanted to do.
Well, and I want to bring Kes up again, and I think this is important too for, like, anybody who listens to this. And there's even been moments, I think, on this show that I've heard people kind of say this, but there was a moment where I had to be honest with myself, because, and here we go. So I'd be in New York with Kes or you know, whoever, some of the older guys from the team, and you know, people ask me, like, hey, you know, what are you doing? And I wasn't working. I was still kind of in between, still doing photography. And I got to the point where I didn't like being the person who, like, used to play ball. Yeah. I was tired of that. And I used to hate that led to conversations a lot of times, especially if it wasn't my friend, but it was my friend's friend introducing me.
Gotcha, yeah.
You know, it wasn't showing, like, Kes wouldn't say that. Yeah. It'd be, like, his friend who didn't really know me. And I'm like, man, I'm tired of, like, being, like, labeled as that, or, like, people ask me what I do. Yeah, part of me, like, I wasn't proud of it. I'm like, man, like, okay, I did what I did when I played, but that was 3 years ago. That was whatever. Right. And I just wanted something to stand on and be proud of. And I can really say that when I started sitting down and, like, holding myself accountable, I remember Kes saying to me, I'm so happy, like, I've been waiting for this moment for you to say this to me. And, like, you're serious about this now. And he just, and I was just like, man, like, why didn't you say that? He was like, because you had to have your own journey. Like, 100%. Like, I knew you to get there. I know you. So he was like, I'm just happy that it's here. Yeah. You're here. And you're excited about it. And man, I was. And that was like a beautiful conversation we had. And yeah, man. So, like I said, I'm proud of it, man. Yeah. I'm excited about it. So.
That's that's dope, because, like, going back to the athletes, like, retiring just in general, like, any athlete, it's always hard, no matter, even if you don't make it to the pros.
For sure.
It's like, I see it all the time. Obviously, you know, I work in sports, right? So it's like, I get it, like, and that's why it's like, that's probably, like, the hardest thing to do besides graduating SHU.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up with Paul's favorite segment. It's called Fun Shoot. So he's gonna hit you with a couple rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Paul, shoot.
I think this is gonna be a good one, because I know you're gonna actually, like, what was your favorite meal at SHU?
Oh man, I'd probably say those breakfast sandwiches.
See, I knew he was gonna have that. I knew Gordon was gonna have
Yeah, the breakfast sandwiches. You know, being an athlete early in the morning. On the ones they make in
Linda.
Yeah.
With the
Linda was a game changer.
Whatever bread they use is different.
Oh, yes,
It's different,
yes.
and it's hard to describe. But you know, I get the egg and cheese with the hash brown on it.
Okay.
Oh man,
fancy with it.
with the hash brown on it. Yeah, that was definitely it. So yeah, that was it for sure.
What about like any favorite like professors?
Scarpati.
Yeah.
And because of what I do now, I would love to have a conversation with him because I took, you know, managerial and financial accounting, and that's not exactly what I'm doing, but I think having a great professor like him, like he's elite, made me want to even go this route, you know, long term. So I if he ever could hear this or somebody could share this with him, if they see him, I would love to just have a chat with him, man.
Is he still a teacher?
I don't even know. I'm hopeful he is. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, he was the best. He was the best.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. What do you miss about SHU?
What do I miss about it, man? I would say like the locker room, like the camaraderie. You know, the camaraderie's tough to replicate. So it's so good to still have, you know, friends that I stay in contact with. So like Connors, you know, I talked to Kyle Church recently, and you know, defensive guys, I'm be honest, you know, Preston, you know, JD. So I just talked to Dennis Reagan. Yeah, I just talked to Dennis the other day as well. So the DB room, we were a close DB room, man. And I still talk to Coach Butters, our coach who came in our junior and senior year when we were successful. You know, I talk to him probably every 45 days. Like, that's my guy. Like, he's very much a big brother to me. He was the first person when the day I chose, you know, on draft day when I ended up signing with San Diego. I told him before my family members that were downstairs.
That's great.
Like, I called him first and I told him thank you. And I want to share this. Yeah. Sure. I said to him, I said, hey, I just want to say thank you. And I was getting emotional, and I was like, he was like, thank you for what? I was like, hey, we going to San Diego. He's like, oh man, that's awesome. And I was like, I want to say thank you. And he's like, for what? He's like, I didn't run. He's like, I didn't make any tackles. I didn't lift any weights. And man, I was like one of the first people who ever taught me humility. Like in that moment, you know, it was like tangible, even though it was just him saying it. And I was like, wow. And he just hung up. Like he knew I was getting, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's my guy, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's all I got because the dorm question was answered the first question.
Yeah, man.
This has been an amazing episode, G Hill. We appreciate your time.
Hey.
Anytime, always welcome to come back to the show.
Man, I love this. I'm for everybody who comes on, you know, moving forward, I'll be listening. I love this show. And I'm happy to be back, man.
Appreciate it.
I'm happy to be back.
That's dope. This has been a great episode of What You Doing. We'll see y'all next time.